Okay, when I'm going to go ahead and bow out and let the last two hands go, and I hand the mic over to you. So we got Sister Sania and Brother Tony remaining. I think Brother Tony put his hand down. He might not be able to speak. We have Sister Sania that has her hand up, and we will go from there. Chief on deck, and I bow out.
Salute, Chief.
From Alaikum Chief, salute.
Chief. Ramadan Mubarak.
Assalamu alaikum, Chief.
Alaikum, Chief.
Assalamu alaikum. Lickson, sir. Praise be to Allah. Indeed. Go ahead, Brother Tony.
Well, yes, sir. I'm glad everyone said what they said, and I'll be brief, since we got the chief and the good doctor on deck. But I thought the question was so relative to me because yesterday I had a discussion with a sister who's in the ministry class as well, and she made mention of your breakdown. We were just discussing this, me and a couple of other brothers, but she was more studious than them. And she asked, she was asking me. She said that y'all give Brother Abdul Malik a lot of praise when he speaks, and it almost seems as though y'all are character worshiping him as y'all make mention of character worshiping the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I said that's a good point. I didn't get offended at all because I knew what she was trying to say. And I explained to her, I said, this is what you have to understand when you're talking about the word of God. See, because she also asked, well, what qualifies the brother to give his his interpretation. And I said that's an honest question. I said, but make it subjective to the institution of religion that you come out of, quote unquote, the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. What qualifies the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to speak, and we accept it as divine revelation because the work of the resurrection of the dead was not divinely given to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It was divinely given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But we, in fact, take what he says as an inspired word. I said, so theologically, what constitutes inspiration? What constitutes sacred text and tradition? And what qualifies, what testing do we do to determine that the word that a person is speaking is from God? And the sister went back to the books, and we went back to the books together. And when she read these definitions in theological definitions, she said, he is inspired. Now that's an intelligent person. You see what I'm saying? And what made her say that the brother was inspired? She said he was inspired is because when you break down the word, and the word does have to be broken down, there has been centuries between these revelations. They have nothing to do with our day-to-day operation until somebody puts them in the context. And what is classified as inspiration is when somebody can take the revealed word of God and give you the vision of that word as God seen it, past, present, and future perfect tense. And so perfect tense is when I can now take that word and apply it and get the same result out of it that somebody got who received that word 1,000 years ago. Make sense? So she was able through an intelligent analysis of what the brother does, even though she was more antagonistic in the beginning, she became more protagonistic and defending of the brother's position. And so that is why we know that the breakdown of how he gives it as opposed to the Quranic reading that we received over the years is an inspiration from God. Because many people have the books, the message to the black man of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but most times they didn't make sense until they heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan open his mouth and give us a crystallized present day understanding of that word. And so Then that book unfolded for us. So when somebody can unfold for you that, then that means that God had to give that person the key. It doesn't mean that he had to directly sit down and talk to that person, but through the emotional, spiritual experiences in that person's life, he gives that person an understanding of his word that is necessary for that time. What did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say about the minister? Only God could have showed you how to put those words, that my teaching, in a beautiful way that you do. So we do not deny that God is present and ever working, because that is what constitutes divine inspiration, which is different from just divine and traditional reading of sacred texts. So when we talk about, now in on this point, when we talk about the Chief's breakdown, and the Quranic reading is the traditions of a dead faith, but his breakdown is the traditionalism of the living faith. You see, and those are two different things. See, tradition is just the what we have, the living faith of the dead. Traditionalism is the dead faith of the living, meaning that the text that was given and entrusted to those years ago now has been brought to life because of divine inspiration, if that makes sense to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Plenty sense, brother. Plenty sense.
Praise be to Allah. All praise be to Allah. Beautiful, brother. Beautiful once again. Yes, indeed. But Doc, I see you on deck. All praises be to Allah.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. How you doing?
Man, Doc was cooking so hard yesterday. We trying to get that, and we trying to get the AI to transcribe that, and the AI having problems.
Is that right? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. They're not that smart.
Yeah, the AI having problems with that one.
Yeah, see, artificial intelligence cannot handle metaphor, allegories, and that kind of thing. Anything that requires abstract thinking is out of the league of artificial intelligence. All artificial intelligence can do is juggle facts and data, but it actually can't think. It has no insight, especially spiritual insight, because it's dead. There's no life there. So when we are imparting a living word, that leaves artificial intelligence out. It just can't cope.
Wow, praise be to Allah.
Praise
Yeah,
be to
that
Allah.
thing asked us so many questions. I said, damn, I might as well go back and transcribe it myself.
Well, that tells you that the responsibility for human understanding does not rest with computers. The responsibility of human understanding rests with ourselves. And so, see what was the primary motivation for Yaqub's civilization? He wanted to make slaves, and his people, would be the masters of the slaves. In other words, the basic motivation of Yaqub was laziness. He was just lazy, and he made a race of people who are lazy, and they don't want to do their own work. They want somebody else to do their work. And so even the development of all of this high-tech stuff, what's the basic motivation? I want a slave to do my work. I want a robot, to clean my floor. I want a robot to brush my teeth. I don't want to do anything myself. You see, so that's the basic motivation that we have in this civilization of Yaqub. And so what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brings to us is the notion that we ought to do something for ourselves. And one of the first things we need, maybe even the first thing we need to start doing for ourselves is start thinking. And in order to think, you have to think for yourself. You can't let a machine think for you.
Yes, sir. Say that again.
A machine can't think for you. You have to think for yourself. So what's the relationship between thinking and language? You see, all the computer can do is manipulate language, but it can't do any thinking. And so it cannot comprehend the thinking that produces the language. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it's language that produces it's thinking that produces language. It's thinking that produces language. So since the computer is unable to think, it cannot understand language that has been produced from original thinking, from original thought. See, those are original thoughts. Those are not, see, all that artificial intelligence is good at is, surveying all of the databases all over the world and picking out relevant data that somebody else already said. It was already written down somewhere. And so that's all artificial intelligence is. It's a big search engine, to search the whole internet to come up with the relevant information to answer the question that you pose to it. Well, where on the internet could artificial intelligence find a corresponding set of data to what I said? It doesn't exist. One of the things that people may have overlooked as we talk about deliberative dialogue is the fact that we create new knowledge. Let me say that again. One of the results of deliberative dialogue is that we create new knowledge that did not exist before. So therefore, artificial intelligence was hearing what was said yesterday for the first time. It had never been said before by anybody. And that's the thing that you need to understand about yourself, is that you have that wonderful power to create new knowledge, not just to learn old knowledge and memorize old facts. You have the ability to create new facts. Let me just think about it from a common sense point of view. Suppose you create something that never existed before. It could be a work of art, a musical composition. It could be a new philosophical concept. Nobody ever thought about it before. Well, haven't you added to creation? I mean, haven't you added to the actual facts of creation? If you create something that never existed before? Well, of course you have. So if artificial intelligence is only good at searching the past information, things that have already existed and been documented and calibrated and cataloged and labeled, well, then it can't find something that was just created at the speed of thought just now. So that's why it fumbles, and that's why we can't rely on artificial intelligence. We could use it probably for certain applications, but we can't rely on it to do our thinking for us. After we do the thinking, then we can employ artificial intelligence to carry out our thought process.
Right.
But we have to be the originators of the thought. We cannot be subordinate to a data dumped on us by artificial intelligence. That wouldn't be intelligent. So thank you for that.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Sister Malika, let's get it started, because I got some stuff I gotta do.
Yes, sir.
We already opened up in prayer. Let's get it.
Welcome, great Facebook family and Grand Rising. Thank you.